Welcome. Today we're going to peek inside the plant's playbook. We're talking about unlocking the secrets of how they eat, grow, and just, well, thrive. By the end of this, you might just find yourself thinking like a plant.
Okay, let's jump right into a mystery that frustrates pretty much every gardener and houseplant owner out there. Why do leaves, which are supposed to be so green and vibrant, sometimes turn that sickly yellow color? The answer, believe it or not, is all about chemistry, and it starts with understanding how a plant actually gets its food. So to solve our yellow leaf problem, we've got to get back to basics. We first need to understand the two main strategies for getting nutrition that pretty much all life on Earth follows.
Okay, so on one side, you've got the autotrophs. Think of them as the self-feeders. These are the ultimate do-it-yourselfers, right? Like our green plants, making their own food from scratch. And then on the other side, you have the heterotrophs, the other feeders. Now that's us. That's animals, fungi. We all have to get our food from somewhere else.
Now, here's where things get really wild. Some plants are actually heterotrophs too, and they've developed these fascinating and honestly kind of ruthless strategies to get what they need. You've got parasites like Casuda that just latch on and steal from a host. You have saprotrophs like fungi that are nature's cleanup crew, feeding on decaying stuff. And of course, the ones everyone loves to talk about, the insect eaters.
So here's the really crucial point about this. When a pitcher plant eats a fly, it's not because it's hungry for energy like we are. See, it's still green, so it's still making its own food with sunlight. It eats insects to get vital nutrients, especially nitrogen, that are totally missing from the poor quality soil where it lives. It's basically a nutritional supplement, not the main meal.
All right, now let's get back to the vast majority of plants, those autotrophs. They run on a process that is, for all intents and purposes, magic. It's like a tiny, solar-powered engine humming away inside every single leaf.
And that engine is called photosynthesis. You can think of it as the plant's own solar-powered kitchen. It takes the simplest ingredients you can imagine, sunlight, water, and air, and cooks up its own food. It is a chemical marvel, and it's all happening right inside those leaves.
And this breaks down the recipe perfectly. It's so simple and elegant. First, the roots suck up water from the soil. Second, these tiny little pores in the leaves, they're called stomata, they basically breathe in carbon dioxide from the air. Third, that green pigment, chlorophyll, acts like a perfect little solar panel, capturing the sun's energy. And finally, the plant uses all that captured energy to mash the water and CO2 together.
And boom, what do you get? You get glucose, a simple sugar that is the plant's food, and you get a little byproduct that's pretty important for us, oxygen. This one simple chemical reaction is, no exaggeration, one of the most important on the entire planet. It creates the very foundation of the food chain and the air that we all breathe. But here's the thing, plants can't live on sugar alone. I mean, neither can we, right? They need a balanced diet of things like proteins and fats to build their bodies, to grow strong, and to store up energy for later. And that's where the soil comes in.
Plants are just incredible chemists. They take that glucose energy they made from photosynthesis and they combine it with minerals they pull up from the soil. For example, they absorb nitrogen to build proteins, which they need for growth and repair. And they create these energy-packed fats and oils, which they store away in their seeds, just waiting to power the next generation.
So this brings us to a huge problem for every farmer, every gardener. Plants are constantly pulling these essential nutrients out of the ground. When we harvest our crops or we tend our gardens year after year, the soil's pantry can start to look a little empty. So how do we restock those shelves for our plants? Well, we've got two main options. We can go the natural route with manure, which is basically just decomposed organic stuff. This doesn't just add nutrients, it actually improves the soil's structure and overall health for the long run. Or we can use chemical fertilizers, which give a really quick, targeted boost of specific nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
But you know what? Nature has its own brilliant recycling systems. Farmers have been using crop rotation for ages, especially planting legumes like peas and beans. And why? Because these plants have these little buddies, special bacteria called rhizobium, living in their roots. And these guys can literally pull nitrogen right out of the thin air and fix it in the soil for free.
Okay, so let's bring all this amazing science back down to earth. Let's connect it all back to our original mystery. How can you use this knowledge to become a true plant whisperer in your own home or garden?
Remember our yellow leaf from the beginning? Well, now you know exactly what it's trying to tell you. It's often a cry for help, a really clear sign of a nitrogen deficiency. Without enough nitrogen, the plant just can't make enough chlorophyll. That's the green stuff that captures sunlight. Its little photosynthesis engine is just sputtering out. So from now on, if you see yellowing leaves, you know what to do. Add some nitrogen-rich compost or manure. If you're just seeing kind of weak, poor growth overall, it might be a lack of other key nutrients. And for your indoor plants, remember, that pot is a closed system. The soil gets used up fast, so you've got to replenish it regularly. The real key to everything is to just start with healthy soil from the get-go.
You know, this wisdom from the ancient Greek historian Xenophon is just as true today as it was over 2,000 years ago. The foundation of any healthy plant, whether it's on a massive farm or in a tiny pot on your windowsill, isn't really the plant itself, it's the soil that it lives in.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought here. What if we shifted our whole perspective? Instead of seeing our gardens as these projects that we have to manage, what if we saw them as these complex, living ecosystems that we get to nurture? Because when we start to work with nature's processes, decomposition, nutrient cycling, all of it, we create a garden that doesn't just survive, but one that truly, deeply flourishes.